This is the decimals video 2. If you have not watched video 1, please do that before watching this video. There is some information in there that we will talk about in this video that you need to know. Alrighty, if you've done that, let's start. In this lesson, we are talking about a way to work out which decimal is bigger. If you had to pick which one of these numbers was bigger, which one would you pick? The left number or the right number? 0.5 or 0.05? If you picked the left, you were correct. Let's have a look at why 0.5 is bigger than 0.05, even though 0.05 is longer in length. Usually the longer number is the bigger number, but with decimals it doesn't always work like that. This is what 0.5 looks like when we use our picture grid. You can see here that we have 0 wholes and 5/10. This is what 0.05 looks like using our picture grid. You can see we have 0 wholes, 0/10, and 5/100. When you compare the picture, it is easy to see that 0.5 is much bigger than 0.05. Let me remind you with our pizzas. This is what one pizza looks like. This is the same as 1.0 pizzas. Notice that there is a decimal and a 0. That just means that there are no tenths. This is the same as just 1. And this is what 0.5 pizza looks like. Notice that we have no wholes, 5/10, and no hundredths. So we could also write this as 0.50. And this is what 0.05 pizza looks like. See how we only have a tiny bit of crust? This is the same as saying 0 wholes, 0/10, and 5/100. Let's have a look at those next to each other. Can you tell which pizza is bigger now? It's easy once we have the pictures, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I'd much rather be eating 0.5 pizza than 0.05 of it. Let's have a look at one more harder example. If you had to pick which of these numbers was bigger, which would you pick? The left or the right? 0.4 or 0.09? If you picked the left, 0.4, you are correct. Just because 9 is usually bigger than 4 doesn't make 0.09 bigger than 0.4. Let's check that out using pictures. When you compare the pictures, it is easy to see that 0.4 is much bigger than 0.09. You can see that 0.4 has 0 wholes, 4/10, and 0/100, whereas 0.09 has 0 wholes, 0/10, and 9/100. Tenths are bigger than hundredths, so you can see that by having 4/10, the number is bigger than 9/100. Let's have a look at that using pizza again. This is 0.4 pizza. Notice that we have no wholes and no hundredths, but we have 4/10. And this is 0.09 pizzas. Notice how this is very small. We have 0 wholes, 0/10, and 9/100. Again, when you can see the pictures next to each other, it is clear that 0.09 is much smaller than 0.4. Finally, let's have a look at one last thing. Something that might help you in the future is seeing that 1/10 is the same as 10/100. This is a picture of 0.1, and so is this. 0.1, 0.1. See the size of the grey shaded area is exactly the same in both pictures? When you have more than 9 hundredths, it is simply a tenth. So if we have 10 hundredths, like in the above picture, we have 1/10. We will talk a little bit more about this in future videos. But for now, it's time to start activity 2. Remember, if you're still confused, make sure you ask your teacher or rewatch this video.